Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu late last year gave orders to residents of the Makoko community to move 100 to 120 meters away from power lines. This order issued is said to be about building control in all its ramifications and not construction and demolition alone, but the welfare of the average resident. In this vein, Realtor Femi Rogers has urged prospective landowners to understand the intricacies of property ownership before going into development of acquired property. News Central's Bettina Nwelih had recently paid a visit to the Makoko sites and reported that sand filling was currently ongoing while families who live in the area are battling for survival. Now, join us live to discuss this and more. We have a licensed realtor, Mr. Femi Rogers. Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Mr. Rogers.
Thank you for having me, Benga.
Now, building safety near power lines, what are the key safety considerations when construction buildings near power lines, and how do these regulations, like the one issued in Makoko, helps mitigate potential risk?
Yes, thank you. Ordinarily, I'm sure that the government did not provide those land for the people that are building, or provide any sort of approval to build lines under the power line. There are zoning laws where the government are they're going to make laws on what to use, what you are going to use the piece of land available for. Now, what happens here is the main problem we have in Lagos and Nigeria as a whole is that the government are not regulating those laws. The primary duty of the government is to provide law and regulate it. But while they are focused on doing other things like building projects, I hear government building large housing schemes, they do not oversee their primary duty, and that allows people to go there and build under those power lines. And now they're coming down and saying they want to demolish those homes.
So it should have been enforced in the first place.
Say that again.
The laws should have been enforced in the first place, rather than wait for people to build informal settlements and then act retrospectively.
That's exactly what I'm saying. The government should focus on regulating the laws that are already enacted. They have laws, they have zoning laws for every piece of land in Lagos. But what happens is that they allow people to build community. You know, it takes a long time for you to build a community, to build 200, 300 homes that they are about to demolish. What was the government looking at when these homes are being built? The main problem we have is that the government is not focused on their primary duty, which is regulating the laws that they've already enacted. They focus more. What I see basically that is happening is they go and build homes, they go and build projects. Governors are building projects, they are building communities. This should be left for developers. What they should do is provide enabling society, enabling environments, funding for developers and property managers to do all these projects while they sit back and regulate.
Now, Mr. Femi Rogers, beyond construction safety, our reporter was in Makoko. We saw that report in our subsequent bulletins, and the residents are saying, look, they have very short notice, and if they move 100 meters to 120 meters as recommended by the government, it would affect their houses, and they don't have anywhere to go. What should the government, what is the role of the government here in providing some aspect of welfare for development in informal settlements in densely populated areas of the state?
Most of this population are poor people that really cannot afford to have homes, and now they are being dislodged from their accommodation. The government should provide, there should be planning. If you're coming in to dislodge these people, then you should also provide homes for them. Because in the first case, part of the problem is because you did not do your job. So yes, government should provide accommodation for them elsewhere. And this is an opportunity for the government to actually redevelop or gentrify some of these areas. I think this happened with VI back in the days when they had a slum. Makoko, yes, that's what happened. And they used the opportunity to regentrify the area. So they relocated these people. So it's not entirely a bad thing to move people out if there is a plan. The problem I see, like what is happening in Abuja, is I'm not sure the government has a plan to provide for these people. What they are just doing is they are, destroying and demolishing without having a backup plan to make sure that they use that to reduce housing deficits and whatever problem that we have. I remember during El-Rufai, he did the same thing, destroyed all the homes that were built without documents in Abuja, and then 10, 20 years down the line, they came back and do the same thing. So this shows that there is something wrong with the way the government is working.
They should be more proactive. Now, Mr. Rogers, what are some of the critical factors prospective landowners need to understand about land ownership? You did talk about the government not regulating the laws, not doing their jobs. But as a consumer, as a citizen, what critical factors do prospective landowners need to understand? Do they need to understand about land ownership, particularly in informal settlements where title deeds and land tenure may not be clearly established?
So I believe that most people understand that when you buy a land, there should be some documentation behind it. And what typically happens is that this is very difficult to get in most state governments in Nigeria. Landowners should know that when they buy a land, they should go straight to the government to regularize the document they got from whoever sold the land to them. Now, I don't absolutely blame landowners that do not know what to do, because the government they're not putting out the information there, and they're not making it easy for people to regularize, to collect their COO, to get a COO or whatever documents they need to get. But landowners should do due diligence to know that, first of all, they're buying from the right person. And this can be difficult also, because in other countries, it's very easy to know who owns this piece of land and who you are buying for. And there's also processes set. All this is why I'm saying that the government should focus more on regulating and providing all these systems so that it becomes seamless for somebody to buy a land, to do their due diligence and get their papers after that. Difficulties in getting these make people just go, settle wherever they like. And of course, the government does not come until 10, 20 years later to, tell them, look, yes, we have done something, you are contravening. So a lot of the problems and the solution lies in enacting laws and regulating the laws in the states.
Thank you so much for your time and expertise, Femi Rogers. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Benga.